I think it's posting now.
Dan, we are a go.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association. Just to let you know, you can see what's on the bottom line here. I generally read that. Any person or organization not affiliated with the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association may not use, copy, alter, or modify any DPNA photographs, graphics, videography, other similar reproductions or recordings without advance written permission of an authorized designee from the DPNA. To use any footage, please email info@deforestpark.org, and that's how you get in touch with us anyway. Okay, Ryan, flag salute.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice
for all.
Okay. And I don't see anyone from the North Station. Next month, for sure, we will have someone. So do we have any statistics, or are we just going to put them up on we'll put them up on our page?
Dan, the minutes have to be approved first.
Oh, that's right. Approval of the minutes. I'll take a motion, please.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, now would be the North Station. They are not here yet. So anyway, we will go, there's our statistics for the last month from April to May of this month. And that outlines what we have. That will be posted on our page. So we'll leave them up for a couple of seconds. Okay. District 9 report. Okay, Jonathan.
All right, good evening, everybody. See a lot of new faces. There's a lot of new membership here at the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association, so that's always great to see. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan Solorzano. I'm the Vice Mayor's field representative and community organizer here in the 9th District. So I usually like to give my report starting with citywide updates and then work my way down to DeForest Park updates. So I'll go ahead and start with citywide updates. We have officially moved into the yellow tier of the statewide tier system, which means that there's just a lot less restrictions when it comes to COVID restrictions that we had in different establishments and places of business. So that's pretty exciting. That means that we are getting closer to completely moving out of the tier system, which I think is the goal ultimately, right, along with the progress that the city's made with vaccinations. So yeah, we're heading in the right direction, tier-wise and then vaccine-wise. So we're just, we're happy to keep the momentum going. In other city updates, we have the mayor had announced that we had 222 migrant children that are over at the convention center connected with relatives. So this is just part of the ongoing process with city or the federal government, and then just the resources that are being allocated there to connect the migrant children over to relatives. And I mean, it's a difficult task given that the relatives could be anywhere in the country, not just limited here to California or LA County, but it has been a difficult process. It's still ongoing. The migrant children are set to be here for the duration of the summer, and hopefully we can connect all of these children back to their relatives or just anybody that they may know. So that's still an ongoing process. For district updates, I have two. Just piggybacking off of the vaccination efforts that I mentioned earlier. So we are officially in the second phase, I like to call it, where we are now vaccinating those who were probably a little hesitant to get vaccinated the first time around when there was appointments that needed to be made. So anybody that wanted to get a vaccine pretty much got one. We're now trying to use incentives, things like, I don't know, raffle entering, or any sort of incentive to get people to come out and get vaccinated. Here in District 9, we actually have two vaccination sites that are permanent. So the first one's over at Houghton Park in front of the community center, and that's Wednesdays through Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you don't need an appointment for this site or the other one that I'm going to mention, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 over at Grant Elementary School. You can just walk up and let them know whether you need the first or second vaccine, if that's if that's your case. There's actually, surprisingly enough, a number of people who still haven't gotten their second dosage of the either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. So if you know anybody that's in that situation, feel free to send them over to either of these sites. The other district update that I have is the Uptown Commons is celebrating their grand opening. Uptown Commons is the new site that's open on Atlantic and Artesia. We have 4 different restaurants there. So it's Oi Asian Fusion, Show Me Nudes, Ramen Place, Portside Fish Company, which is a seafood place, and then Main Chick, which is a Nashville hot chicken place. All 4 of these restaurants are going to be celebrating just the grand opening of the Uptown Commons. There's going to be a DJ. There's going to be food giveaways for the first number of people that attend this event. The vice mayor will be there. So, if you want to stop by and say hi, I think this will be a good opportunity to mingle with not only him, but also just some of your local residents and get some great food in the process. So please come out to that. And then I don't know if you all saw, but the vice mayor also finally announced the date for the Jazz Festival, which is obviously one of those big events that happens here in the district every year. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Jazz Festival. So naturally, the vice mayor, being who he is, I think he's going to try to go big on this. So, we definitely want you all to come out to this. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Lots of great performers. I don't think there's ever been a performance at the Jazz Festival where it's been bad. So, definitely come out to this. It's going to be great. August 21st, save the date. Hope to see you there. And then for the DeForest Park neighborhood updates, I don't have too many. One of them is that the Villa Park, which I don't know if it actually falls into the DeForest Park neighborhood or not. It looks like, just because looking at the map, it looks like it falls under the boundaries of it, but it could just be its own neighborhood. But they have requested that the palm trees over on the west part of the trailer park be served, have the palm trees trimmed or cut, just because it looks like they're a little dry and it could provide to be a safety hazard, especially with the summer heat that comes up. So that was requested by the Villa Park management. And then also it looks like there is an improved safety over at the actual park. I think last meeting we mentioned that there's been an increase in police presence in the after hours of the park, and we're really excited to see that we're seeing improvements. I've also heard reports of things happening here and there. We're definitely looking into those. isolated incidents, but I think as a whole, we're looking at increased safety at the park. So yeah, we're still keeping an eye on things. PD is still patrolling in the after hours. So anything that you may hear or any concerns that may come up, please feel free to reach out to our office. As always, I'll go ahead and drop my email in the comments for you all to reach out to me if you need to reach me. And then also just as a district-wide update, I'm finally working out of the District 9 field office. So we're slowly but surely coming back to a sense of normalcy when it comes to our operations. Yeah, if you ever need to, stop by and check in person, feel free to do so. I would just call ahead of time to make sure that, somebody's at the office. Chances are I'll be there. If I'm not doing actual field work, please feel free to drop by. I'll also put up the District 9 field office number for you all to call. I'll be the one answering. And please wear a face mask when you do come to visit. We're currently working on making some renovations or some updates to the field office, since I'm going to be working out of there a little more, and we're planning on activating the space a little more. So just little things, right, that we can work with city departments, such as fixing some electrical issues, or recently I just updated the Wi-Fi, which if you have ever tried working out of the a field office or have tried connecting to the internet, it's a nightmare. But we got that upgraded. So yeah, please feel free to drop by. And I see there's a few questions in the comment section. Homeless on the sidewalks and littering. Okay, so what I'll also do here in the comment section is I will also provide you with the multi-service center number. That's the number you can call at the city to report any encampments. What the multi-service center does is that they actually go to these encampments or the individual experiencing homelessness, and they reach out to provide services and resources. Sometimes they take them, sometimes they don't, but at least the city makes the effort to initiate contact, in a resourceful way. So I'll go ahead and provide that information. Joni, I haven't forgotten. I still need to share the infographics on the vice mayor's social media pages. So I'll go ahead and get that out this week. But yeah, please feel free to reach out to the multi-service center. You can also reach out to our office regarding this. And it looks like, yeah, on the sidewalks, just let me know what sidewalks those are specifically, and I'll go ahead and report those. I have reported a few on Atlantic, both in the Howland Park and the DeForest Park sides of the, on the sides of Atlantic. So I am aware of some of those, but if there's any more in the neighborhood, in the DeForest Park neighborhood, just please feel free to let me know about those as well. Yeah, so any other questions? All right, thank you.
Darlene raised her hand.
I noticed going up this Harding and Atlantic, there's graffiti on the sidewalk in front of where Wabba Grill is. Well, it used to be Wabba Grill.
Okay. Now, is this on Atlantic or on Harding?
It's on the corner of Atlantic and Harding, by the drive-through window of what used to be Wabba Grill.
Got it. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and submit a ticket for that.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Any
other
other
questions?
questions? Yeah, any other questions? If not, I see that my chief of staff
Hey, John?
is here. Yes.
Jonathan, there's another one. There's, and I can vouch for this one too. It's, we have a car. I don't know which one it is. We've been trying to catch him.
Mhm.
He's coming over towards Dairy and South Street, and they're
Mhm.
doing donuts later in the evening, probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and it goes on for about 5 or 10 minutes. By the time you get outside, he's pulling away. We haven't been able to get his license yet. Some of us are working on that. There's several of us.
Okay.
So you might want to pass, since the police aren't here today. There's another issue that's going to be coming up in just a second. You might want to pass that little number along to them. Tell them they can park next to the parkway next to my house and just watch, and just be quiet. You can see everything from over there too. And that's, like I said, it's right on the southeast corner of South, and it's on South and Dairy, right at that corner.
Okay. Perfect. Do you have, I know you said you couldn't get the license plate, but would you happen to have at least the make and model or something?
No, I
maybe-
haven't gotten that yet.
Okay.
But there,
not a
like I
problem.
said, it's closer towards the middle of the night. So, by the time I get out of my bedroom over to there, you can't, I'm not catching him. The
Mhm.
the last one that was there was a Mustang, but I don't know. It could be a Honda too. So I don't know.
Got it. Okay. All right, perfect. Then, yeah, I'll go ahead and take this report down and submit it over to PD for them to increase patrolling at, you mentioned 11 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
between 10:30 and 11:30, and actually, if they just sat for a little bit, they would catch it.
Yeah,
Believe me, they would catch it.
yeah.
And we're going to
Okay.
bring up another issue in just a second. So
Yeah.
be
Sounds
prepared.
good. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate the
Sure.
info. All right. If there are no further questions, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Matt.
Hey, everybody, Matt Hamlet, Chief of Staff to District 9. Jonathan, thanks for the updates. And really, I'm just here to show face. And Dan, have we done the Conservation Corps presentation yet?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Matt.
I said, did I miss the Conservation Corps presentation?
Nope, they're coming up. We haven't got that far yet.
Gotcha.
That's a little early yet.
Yeah, so yeah, just really excited about the Conservation Corps. We actually had the Vice Mayor had a really good conversation with them the other day, and I think we're just really gonna have to all come together to make sure this thing happens. So excited to hear an update, and looking forward to the partnership moving forward.
Okay. Any other questions for Matt? Excellent. So our next agenda item, which is new business, and I'm sure that most of you that are up and online are hearing, is the loud explosions that are going on closer to Hewlett and Locust, but you can hear them all the way down to where I'm at, all the way down towards J-Mill. So roughly almost every night, it's been the last 5 or 7, they've been shooting off stuff. And we've had people they can hear it, they can see it, but it's not on the street, it's in their backyard. So that's another issue that we need to address. And I was hoping that we would have the North Station here, so that would increase the patrol, but that's going to probably need to be reported too. And they're saying it's an M80, it may be something even larger, because it is really bad. So I don't know if the person that sent that to me is on with us, but is there anyone that would like to talk about 5811 Locust? Not that I'm hanging out over there all the time. Okay, we'll move on from that. At least the 9th District office has got it. We can start doing a little bit more directing that way. And I'll send another email into the North Station. So next up, I should have let Matt announce this because that's where we are, is the Conservation Corps. So we'll move over to that and let's go there. So I don't know who's here from the, I don't know. I don't have any faces up for the conservation course. So maybe Ryan does. Oh, there you are, Dan. Okay,
Dan,
we're ready.
Conservation Corps Long Beach. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm a little remiss that I met with a few folks in the past, but I'm a little remiss. Should have met with everybody way sooner. I know that staff have in the past, but I'm the executive director of the Conservation Corps Long Beach. Been there. It's been 5 years now that I've been at the Conservation Corps Long Beach. Prior to that, I was at Los Angeles Conservation Corps for almost 20 years, about 10 of those as the deputy director. That said, Cal State Long Beach alum, my wife and her whole family are Long Beach folks. My wife's a school teacher, taught at Stanford Middle School. So, I am somewhat Long Beach certified, as my staff and Corps members will tell me sometimes now. My legitimacy is growing all the time. But again, thanks for having us here. I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm going to make some assumptions that folks know who the Corps is, what we're about, and what our mission is. But I am going to skim on, touch on that a little bit, and then we'll talk about specifically about DeForest Wetlands Park and the Corps' role moving forward. Right now, Conservation Corps Long Beach, we've been around for over 30 years. We're one of 14 certified corps in the state. That means that we're certified by the State Resources Agency as a job training program. That does allow us to get a little bit of inside track to get some state funding that we've been able to invest in the community, invest in the greater Long Beach area, and we're looking to do even much more within along the lower Los Angeles River. We currently have our administrative sites in East Long Beach over by Marine Stadium. We have our operations center in Signal Hill off of Redondo and PCH. And then we have our school site on Atlantic and Bixby Knolls area. So when I walked through the doors here at CCLB, we were doing a lot of projects in various places, but we really wanted to focus on the community where most of our young folks come from, that being North Long Beach, West Long Beach. We actually have quite a few folks from Linwood and Paramount and Southgate, but primarily North and West Long Beach. And we also wanted to focus on good work along the lower Los Angeles River. So I went to the city probably within the first year of joining CCLB and said, look, we want to open up a satellite site on the lower LA River. We want to focus and do more work along that river and be a resource to the communities along the 710 from the port to the northern boundary of the city of Long Beach. And then we're also looking we're also opening a new site at Willow Springs Park. We have this great CAL FIRE grant to do repurpose urban lumber. So as many of you know, there's the urban forest in Long Beach needs a lot of help. We've been planting a lot of trees, but trees get old, trees get diseased, trees die. And those trees, instead of them landing in landfills or as mulch or as firewood, we want to repurpose those and actually utilize that lumber for art, not that we would do the art, but we would, as a social enterprise, mill that lumber and make it available to folks to use for art, for furniture, what have you, paneling on walls. So we have a lot going on, but I know today we're here to talk about DeForest Wetlands. So since I've been here, we've been doing more work along the lower LA River. We've been doing work at Dominguez Gap. We're working at Wrigley Greenbelt. However, we really wanted to focus on the DeForest Wetlands area. And so we were able to take a little bit of our funding. We're eligible for funding. We have to apply and we actually compete against the other corps in the state. But we were able to get some Prop 68 money to help augment and the work that's being done at the wetlands. We also are working with Parks, Recreation, and Marine. I know the director Dennis is on and Meredith Reynolds, and they'll talk a little bit about that. So we have a really strong relationship with them. But we also applied for a Rivers and Mountains Conservancy grant, as I think all of you know. That grant was to develop a DeForest vision plan, which I think many of the folks, if not all on the meeting, that were involved in that. That was approved last fall by City Council. And then, and obviously our other partner is Campfire. I think George is on here as well from Campfire. And then, of course, Phil Hester, who many of you know, sits on our board. He also sits on Campfire's board. So, although I always tease him, I think he wears his Campfire hat more than his Core hat, but we'll still count him as one of ours. No offense, Georgia. So we got this money from Rivers and Mountains Conservancy to build a community environmental center. It's a modest site. We're going to look at it, the CCLB, as a resource node along the lower LA River. Ultimately, what we envision having approximately 20 young folks working out of that site. And when I say working out of that site, means they would go there in the morning, report to work there, and we're planting trees along, the lower river. We're doing work for the Uptown Bid. We do recycling for, to our Cal Recycle grant with the state and with the city. So we're going to continue doing that work. But that kind of work adjacent to the lower LA River will be based out of this site. And which I think where a lot of you folks are really on board is that just by us being there, by default, we'll be able to help better maintain the area. We'll be able to be a presence in the area. In my experience, of a park is activated, and there's people there, especially young folks in uniform and everything else. There's a propensity for a little bit less nefarious activities and things like that happening. We think that would be a phenomenal asset to the park and that lower LA River. But my excitement is really that we would use that area or use that center as a training ground for our young folks. So, when a young person comes to the Corps, if they don't have their high school diploma, they go to school with us. If they do have their high school diploma, they still have to go to school, whether they're co-enrolled at Long Beach City College or Cerritos. Right now, we probably have 6 or 7 young people out of the 75 that we are currently with us. They're at the university level, and they're coming to us because they look at the Corps as an opportunity to get some practical experience. So I just had a young woman present to my board of directors last week. She's at the CCLB, but she's getting her landscape architectural degree from Cal Poly Pomona. We have several folks at Cal State Long Beach, and we have several folks from Cal State Dominguez Hills as well. And so our presence at the park, we do chainsaw training certification. We do, native plant ID and invasive plant ID. We do classes in interpretation and naturalists, urban, naturalist type of classes. We do programming around habitat restoration, irrigation repair. And so what I think is really cool is that we're going to use this site as a platform for a lot of that training. So our folks will get trained, they'll get certified in this and that. And in turn, the park gets a little bit more love and no extra cost to the city and as an ancillary benefit. So I can go on and folks know me, they know I can. I have our operations director on here, David Saul. And David, if you don't mind kind of giving us an update exactly where we're at on the site, and then we're totally open for questions from all of you. So thanks again for inviting us. I'm honored, and I'm really looking forward to the future with all you and working to make that a jewel, even more of a jewel than it is.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, David here. Nice to be with you all. So we're moving right along. We've got a number of our parks partners on here that we've been working closely with in getting the project to where it is today. So as if you've been following along through the different city council actions and things like that have been happening, as you know, the vision plan was adopted, and we received a right of entry permit from City Council back in October of last year. We also went out to bid to get a pre-bid, if you will, to kind of get an estimate on where we would be in terms of dollars for the site, and work to kind of put things in order. So from there, November, December, we did a site design, schematic drawings, all the kind of things you prepare for, and got feedback from the city, and then really got to work in the first quarter of this year on construction documents that we submitted for permitting this past March. So we just got the permit approved for our construction drawings just about a week and a half ago. So it's an exciting milestone to cross. And we've also got our RFP that we put out to all of our general contractors to bid on the actual demolition of the existing building to construct the new building. So we're getting that permit issued, and we're reviewing bids from our general contractors literally as we speak. And we're hoping to award that here in the next few weeks and do negotiations, and then ideally start construction, by July. So that's kind of where we're marching towards. So, and as you, if you aren't as familiar, the current restroom building in the north end of the park is the space that we're talking about. It's about 1,000 square foot building there, and it's going to be replaced with a 1,400 square foot building on the similar footprint, same spot, but a little bit bigger. That'll have green design and great stormwater capture features to recharge, and have it be an infiltration site for water capture. And it'll also be demonstrative in its design too. So it can, in addition to being an educational site in terms of the skills that we'll be learning, it'll also be educational in terms of its design as a building, and hopefully be a really nice, sort of beautiful landmark at the north end of the DeForest Park, with restrooms there, a couple of single-use restrooms for the public to use that Conservation Corps will be maintaining the site around. So we're at an exciting point. We're kind of just getting our final ducks in a row here to start construction this summer and get the ball rolling. So that's where we're at.
So David, I might add, as David said, we put it out to bid, and of course the bids all came back way higher than higher than we anticipated. David mentioned that we did a test bidding back last fall saying, okay, how much is this really going to cost? And we tried to be really conservative. We met with the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy. They actually granted us a little bit more money to make up that difference. But of course, right now, construction's booming. Material costs we're learning more and more about this, are fairly high. Contractors can pick and choose of projects they want. That's what David says we're negotiating, because we're hoping to find somebody who's a little more altruistic and who really understands what we're trying to do, working with the community, working with the city. Regardless, we're moving forward, and we're committed at defining that funding gap. That's what I've been working on recently. So it's a labor of love, but we're moving forward. And the idea is that we're planning on, like David said, breaking ground this July. We want to move in by the end of the year, early 2022, January 2022, and get that site up and running. And again, and I'll be quiet after this. Ultimately, that site, it's not our site, it's your site, it's the community site. We will be managing it. We have we have a management agreement with the city. We'll be taking care of the site, but the site will be open to programming for meetings and events and whatever else is the community wants to happen there. It's a modest site, like David said. It's only 1,400 square feet, but there's going to be a lot of outside programming space as well, shade structures. And as David said, it's a lid design, low impact development design. So there's rainwater capture. There's going to be EV charging stations for electric vehicles. And so we're trying to put as many of the green elements as possible into the site, so that it will be not only environmentally the right thing to do, but it can also be a model for others moving forward. And again, working closely with the city. So again, I can keep going, but I'm not. You tell me. Open for questions.
Okay, well, that sounds good. And there are a couple of questions that were presented to me personally. One of them is the pond over at the wetlands. Mm-hmm. What is going to be done with that? Are you going to be using a trough type aeration system that you can just throw in and clean up the scum that's there? Or what exactly are you going to be doing?
So we're not going to be doing anything with the pond. We're talking, but now that said, I'm going to pass the baton off to Parks and Rec with the director, Dennis, and Meredith Reynolds over there. And I'm sure they can answer that. Now, but I would like to say that we would love to use that as a training platform for us, because again, we know that stormwater capture is not, it's only going to grow. The county Measure W is in place. So we see that as a marketable skill for our folks coming through the Corps. So if we can help maintain that and train that, they could help down the road with the Long Beach Municipal Stormwater Treatment Center, LB Musk, or the engineered wetlands that's going on in Southgate for the urban orchard. So we are going to look at that as an opportunity for us, but I couldn't tell you exactly the operations now.
Okay.
And I do want to say though, Dan, if I may, I know that we're talking about the building, and I did talk about a little bit of the Corps doing a little bit of work at the wetlands. We are working with PRM, Parks, Recreation, and Marine, to help maintain the wetlands. We've done a lot of work on the trails. We've done a lot of invasive species removal. We've been watering some of the new plants that we've replaced. Whenever there's a restoration project, there's going to be a certain mortality rate. And so we've been doing a lot of that, working closely with and under the tutelage of Parks, Recreation, and Marine. But again, I'll defer to the Director Dennis in regards to any maintenance questions, because again, we're working for the city in that regard when we do those types of things. Even when it's our money, that we're able to bring to the table. And we're looking at, Parks, Recreation, Marine has expert staff that helps with the technical aspects of it.
All righty. So do we have any other questions besides the one I'm saving for Parks, Recreation, Marine?
I just have a question for Parks and Recs, and I guess everybody that's on the conversation real quick. My name is Robert Coda, everyone. Is it okay if I jump in?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Coda. I'm a local resident. I grew up in North Long Beach, and I was just wondering how I can go about hosting like a park cleanup. I work with several other nonprofit organizations within Long Beach, and we do a bunch of beach cleanups and neighborhood cleanups. And I just kind of wanted to bring that same energy towards the forest park. I run there at least 5 days a week, and I love all the changes that have gone on in North Long Beach, like in the last decade or so. So I just wanted to, kind of do my part.
That's awesome.
You know what? Well, we can talk to you about that. We have an annual neighborhood cleanup, which we just had, but we are not opposed ever to having neighborhood cleanups over at the park and going through there. And generally, when they started talking about the contract for the Conservation Corps, we already had a group that was going through and cleaning the wetlands, and we pulled back from that because we wanted to see how everything was going to work out, who was going to do what. So yeah, if you'd like to contact us, and we'll be happy to help you put it together, the whole thing.
Cool.
If you need to talk to Neighborhood Services, their number is 570-1010. You can call them. We can work together and go ahead and do that. So that's generally what we do in the forest area, but we've moved all around the area over the years for cleanup. And yeah, if you want to head one up, we're 100% behind you.
Wonderful, thank you. I was hoping to. I just got accepted into a AARP's walking program, and I was hoping to start like a running club as well and help maintain the trails to keep everything clean. I spoke to JJ, I believe, and yeah, he told me to come check out this meeting.
Very good. And JJ, I think you're talking about JJ at the Corps. Am I correct? Geronimo Ortega? Robert?
Yes, sir.
So and again, Robert, and obviously you can always reach out to us. We're more than happy to host volunteers and bring volunteers into the Corps. We would love to have some folks come in as even mentors to our young folks, but we can organize something with you as well. And so you got very thankful folks here, listening in. So
perfect. I mean,
I'm going to put my email out on the chat right now. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, please do, and we'll make it happen.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I jump in here real quick, Robert.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if I can just jump in real quick, I can also help coordinate recurring neighborhood cleanups over at DeForest Park. Currently, we have about 3 neighborhood associations in our district who have monthly cleanups, and they started as soon as they became available after the COVID stay-at-home orders were lifted a little bit. So yeah, these things have resumed throughout the city, and if either you or the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association would like to designate a point person to fill out the paperwork, to just kind of have it dropped off on a recurring basis, you just pick a weekend out of the month, and then we can just go ahead and set that up to drop off the large container for you all to conduct the neighborhood cleanup.
Yeah, I was hoping to do it I would do it at least once a month, and then maybe bounce between DeForest Park and Howden Park as well. I grew up in this neighborhood in both parks. Just you know, they you got to maintain them. I it's just sometimes just a lot of activity coming through these parks, and just want to keep them clean.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm from Houghton Park too, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I think we can coordinate with either yourself or somebody from the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association to again have somebody be the designated point person to have a recurring monthly neighborhood cleanup, and then maybe even like you said, right, talk to the Houghton Park neighborhood to also find a point person for that as well. I mean, yeah, I think if you'd like to continue, this discussion, I did leave my contact information in the chat box. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to coordinate with you.
Awesome. I had one more comment for Parks and Rec, if that's okay.
Sure.
When it comes to the when you guys open up the new building, new recreation center, and you guys start hosting classes and all that, I would love to get involved with that as well. I graduated in sustainable landscape design and principles from Long Beach City College through it was a workforce training program, and like I said, I'm just trying to get more involved. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Who was just talking?
That was Robert Coda. Lori.
Okay, so we're looking for people that might be interested in working on our butterfly project, the preserve that the county's giving us land to be able to develop, and we want to do it's a very particular kind of development, so I don't know if there's somebody with the skills or background to be able to do that.
I would definitely love to help on that project. I'm currently helping on a project with the Puente Latino Association, Hilda's group, on building. It's a public veggie garden surrounded by just native drought-tolerant landscape. So if it's something similar to that, I mean,
well, they'd have to be plants that attract butterflies.
Okay, of course, we can definitely find those, work together. We have on our project, we have somebody from the Native Plant Society in Long Beach helping us. We can reach out to them as well.
Well, and Hilda's on our board, and Hilda suggested that she had somebody that did this, and maybe that's you. I don't know. So
yeah, I think she was talking about me because I'm working on that other project with her.
Okay, well, that's great. So then we just have to get connected. So I'll leave my email. I don't know if you can let me know, but I'll leave you my email and maybe we can work something out here.
Definitely. I would love to hear more about all these projects. Like I said, I grew up in North Long Beach, so I would love to get involved. I recently started garden docent training over at Los Cerritos, Rancho Los Cerritos Historical Museum and Garden. I'm just taking care of what we have here.
So can you do conceptual drawings?
Yes, I'm not the best at it, but what I can do is more of a rendering of like just the overall schematics. I can send you some examples.
Okay, so I'm sending you my email, okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Parks and Rec.
This is Joni. I had a question. Will
Brenda, go.
Conservation Corps and Campfire be doing any joint activities at the park?
That's a great question. I know George is on here. Yes, we eventually, once everybody's up and running and doing programming there, we see quite a bit of, and we were talking about butterflies earlier, the cross-pollination between the organizations. So for example, we have, every year we have a cohort of our young folks that go through the Cal Naturalist training, which Robert, you might know about. It's through University of California Cooperative Extensions. And those folks that go through that are really have an affinity to go into interpretation and outdoor naturalist kind of activities. And so we've been talking with Conservation Corps, with Campfire, that we could segue. We'd love to segue some of our folks who eventually can go work for Campfire to help them with some of their programming, as a way of them moving on from the Corps onto something else. I mean, again, the Corps is a job training program. We're generally a year plus. But again, we have folks that want practical experience and who want to go into education. And that's basically what Campfire does in a non-traditional way. George, I don't know if you want to, I don't know if you're still on, if you want to.
Yeah, I am. I'll just tag on and say we are also very excited about these possibilities. We see a lot of synergism between the two organizations. We're very much looking forward to developing the kind of teen program over here that we have on the other side of town. And we're excited about the idea that we can be a natural feeder with the Corps. So looking forward to the opening of their building and the collaboration that promises for all of us.
Okay. Parks and Rec. I think we're ready for you.
All right, thank you, Dan. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. If I can hit there we go. So good evening. Hey, this has really been a great opportunity to get to know another wonderful neighborhood association. I think the last 2 weeks, every evening, I've had the really great opportunity to patch into Zoom meetings like this. And I moved here from Tucson, Arizona about 10 months ago. I've already felt like I've lived here 10 years. It's been a really wonderful, welcoming community. I've got to meet Georgia and Dan. We actually met in person early on. And I so appreciate, they're probably some of our best examples of community partners that really do make a difference. So I'm excited also about the future, in particular, the further development of DeForest Park and that wonderful facility that Dan and David were talking about. It's going to be really a great example and a great gathering place. I have a lot to cover here. Do we have a hard stop at 8 o'clock? I guess I should ask that.
No,
Okay.
we don't.
Okay, very
we try
good.
and finish by 8:30. So
by 8:30, okay. All right, very good. So I have a couple of folks I really want to introduce, and I know we've had some good questions raised already. So I'll start by introducing Hurley Owens. He's our Parks Maintenance Operations Bureau Manager. He can probably field that question that was raised about the pond in the park in a while, but I'm really glad Hurley's here. I know he and Dan and the Conservation Corps really coordinate a lot of the maintenance efforts and the planting efforts. So I'm really pleased with that really open line of effective communications. I'm going to mention a lady's name next, and I think for any of you in the Zoom meeting tonight that were involved with the whole process to develop the DeForest Park vision plan, you know Meredith Reynolds very well. She has been doing an excellent job leading our Park Planning and Partnerships Bureau for over 6 years. I think it was just last Friday, maybe it was 2 Fridays ago. Some days seem like a whole week, but I had gotten a phone call from our city manager, Tom Modica, and he has found it really necessary to identify a great person with actually all the skill set that Meredith has to move over to the city manager's office and help oversee and manage the city's Economic Recovery Act monies. It's about $230+ million. It's an amazing resource that Long Beach has been blessed with from the federal government. but Meredith has been tapped to take on that responsibility. So we couldn't be happier for her. But of course, realizing the void that she'd be leaving, it was really a challenge for me in a fairly short period of time to try to find someone that could, fill her shoes. And I can't say replace, because I really have felt that Meredith would be very, very hard to replace. But fortunately, within the city team, there was another very talented and depth of skills and resume team member over at Public Works. And, in our conversations, I'm really pleased to introduce to you the young lady that's going to be taking Meredith's place. So on next Monday, actually, on May 24th, Nancy Villasenor will be starting her leadership for the Park Planning and Partnerships Bureau. And both of those ladies are on Zoom. I see them both here tonight. So I actually would like to turn the microphone, if that's what I'm doing, over to Meredith. And I know she's been really very closely connected to all the neighborhood associations through a lot of the park planning efforts. But I think it's appropriate because I'm always very gracious and like to express my appreciation for all our contributions. But I'd like Meredith to just say a few words to the group and then maybe make a more formal introduction of Nancy. So I'll turn it over to these ladies. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation this evening. I'm very excited to be here. A little bittersweet because I have to say goodbye to you all and to my Parks family, but certainly am staying with the city and doing really important work for our community, which really fills my cup at the end of the day. So I am very deferential to all of you on the DeForest Neighborhood Association, who has done some really great work at DeForest Park and working with us and the community for our vision plan. That was one of my favorite projects with the Parks Department because it was just so uplifting and hopeful. And we have a long way to go to certainly apply for grants and find funding. But we are in a really great spot because of all of the great planning work that you all have done. So I am very thankful for having that experience. I would like to introduce my replacement, Nancy Villasenor. Nancy is amazing. You will absolutely love her. Nancy currently works in our Public Works Department, and she manages capital projects for the city, many of those being park projects across our city. She has a really extensive background at the city of Long Beach. She has worked in a variety of different departments, which I'm sure she'll tell you about, but doing stormwater projects, doing grant writing and grant management, as well as a degree in urban planning. So she's going to be a fantastic addition to the parks team. And I'll say, welcome, Nancy, and I'll hand the floor over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Sometimes have audio problems.
You're good, Nancy.
But all right, thank you. So yeah, I want to emphasize what Brent said. I don't know that I'm replacing Meredith because she's very hard to replace. And I'm sure in your experience with her that you can probably agree with that, but I will do my best. I have been with the city for 14 years in various different capacities, and I am a native of Long Beach, was raised here, still live here. I'm very passionate about this community and excited to be able to step into this new role and serve the community in a different way. That's really what my goal is in my career here with the city. So I'm really looking forward to working with you all.
Great, thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Nancy. So I would like to just share a few other things. This is actually kind of serving as a meet and greet for me. So I wanted to just share a little bit more about myself and kind of the direction that the department's heading. So without going through my whole resume, first of all, I am a landscape architect by training. Also, I'm probably cut from a little different cloth than most Parks and Recreation directors. From day one, even though our official title is Parks, Recreation, and Marine, I've always tried to refer to our team as a team representing Parks, Recreation, Marine, and Animal Care Services. That final or fourth bureau is a really important aspect of the many services we provide. I don't think they'll probably go through the charter change to add that, but I just think it's appropriate to also recognize all of our team that does such a great job day in and day out through our Animal Care Services Bureau. Being a landscape architect, also, it's probably no surprise that that final week of April was one of my favorite holiday weeks, which held both Earth Day and Arbor Day. We were out, and I'm going to tip my hat again to Conservation Corps, but they were a great partner to help plant between 300 and 400 trees. Most of them were finding their new homes on the north and west sides of Long Beach. But it was really great to see all 9 of our council district offices step forward with excitement and actually be out there helping plant trees. So it was really, I think, an important step back into what I call the new normal. But we've been really excited about the role that our department and also partners like Campfire and Conservation Corps can help in terms of the citywide effort for reforestation. We've actually been talking about reinitiating a tree farm or a nursery over here in El Dorado Park with the goal of hopefully down the road maybe producing several hundred, maybe up to 1,000 native trees that would be appropriate for the landscapes across Long Beach. So that's part of our strategic view of the future and an important role that Parks and Recreation can have. So June 15th, everybody hears about June 15th, and I know Jonathan early on was referring to, we're in the yellow tier, and as we, as a greater community, continue to work together to, really see our way through this pandemic, there's huge opportunities in terms of what I now say stepping into the new normal, because a lot of the things that as a team we've learned during the pandemic era, we've really needed to reimagine a lot of our programs and such. So we've always adhered to the public health protocols and all those requirements. So a lot of the things that we have introduced over the past 12 or 13 months, we found have a lot of value as we step into the new normal. So things like our virtual programming, which originally, because a lot of young people were not meeting in class, they were actually homeschooling, and they could easily patch on to their computers to an array of very interesting and engaging educational, fitness-oriented, arts and crafts-oriented virtual programs. That was something that we found also had a value and appeal to our senior or our older adult community. So that's one element that we're really hopeful that we can creatively continue, as we again step into the new normal. The other thing that we found was very important, because all of our community centers were shuttered, was that we created a mobile recess program where we had 6 basic truck units that brought recreational and other educational opportunities out into all corners of the community on a regular basis. And that's something else that we're putting a lot of value in, and we hope that we could continue in some capacity in the years here post COVID. The other thing is we developed some learning hubs, really in partnership with Long Beach Unified School District, where we would have very engaging, I'll call them more tutorial type opportunities, but I know when I was out at Hartwell Community Center one day, just kind of supporting our team that was presenting a lot of those opportunities, there was actually a bunch of young people learning sign language as just a very unique example of some of the things that were happening. We also found out that our community gardens have proven to be a very, very important continuum throughout the pandemic. One is there has been a lot of food scarcity issues, and we found that our community gardens have been really invaluable for a lot of corners of our community where people may live in an apartment building or a multi-story unit and not really have access to a gardening area, but certainly the development and we're hoping for the expansion of community garden opportunities is an exciting element that we see in the future of what our department can present. We have really a really full house in terms of what we're going to be presenting this summer. I think our recreation team, many of whom were reassigned to other more essential duties, over at the health department. I know Meredith actually was assigned over there, and she did some really amazing work to help, put in place a lot of essential programs for the community through the health department. But we're slowly bringing a lot of those folks back. A lot of our lifeguards have been helping with COVID testing and vaccine administration. So we're, as we've been able with the health order changes to reopen our pools at King and Silverado. And of course, the Belmont pool had always been open since that's an outdoor pool, but just resuming the aquatics program with lap swimming and swimming lessons has been really, really important. But I think our camp program, our summer camps in particular, and we have some really unique camp opportunities at our nature center. These are all things that we're so happy to be able to be presenting once again. And I know we have regular monthly briefings with the vice mayor and the Council District 9 staff. And I think, one thing our whole team has been very proud of is how we're being more and more recognized as being super responsive. I think we're very good listeners, but our council district offices usually are that first line when there's a concern or a suggestion or a complaint, we'll call it that. They can communicate that with us, and we're trying to be as responsive as we can to address some of those issues that are raised. So I think we really have a very positive working relationship with the vice mayor and his office, and we appreciate all the things that he does in support of Parks, Recreation, Marine, and Animal Care Services. Again, as we get past June 15th, and again, that was really a kind of a watershed date that Governor Newsom announced when we're going to open California back up. We're anxious also to help organize, and I know that was mentioned earlier this evening, a lot of community events, whether it be neighborhood cleanup efforts, beautification projects, planting trees. But we believe, in all our hearts that parks really do help build community. And I think everyone that's probably on this Zoom meeting recalls lots of great memories out in your beloved parks where you could get together, get to know your neighbors in a better way, learn something new, stay healthy and fit, and again, just really celebrate community. So I think maybe that's going to be my best kind of overview, I'll say. But I know, Hurley, there was that question about the pond in DeForest Park, and I don't know if the resident that raised that is still on the line, but maybe for the record, if you would want to address that. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Brent. As Brent stated, I'm Hurley Owens. I'm the Bureau Manager for Park Maintenance for the City of Long Beach. And as far as the stream, we receive funding to biannually have our landscape contractor, Azteca. They go into the stream and do a north to south robust cleaning. That includes trimming, removal of trash, weeds, and debris. As you may or may not know, this park was designed without a trash diversion billow. So during rainy events, trash is swept up from the paved road and swept down into the stream. And Azteca, so at the end of the rainy season, Azteca goes in, and then later on in the summer, they clean the trash out of the stream. They also maintain the water storm outflows that is at the north end of the wetland. So the stream is cleaned biannually. I hope that answered the question.
I think that did, Hurley. So thank you very much. I'm all about celebrating too. So I'm just remembering David and Dan's summary of the facility that they're going to be breaking ground soon. So maybe we can safely gather together and have a fun groundbreaking ceremony here in the near future. And of course, we'll work with the Council District 9 office and this neighborhood association. That's going to be a great opportunity, again, just to step back into normal. The other thing I should mention, because the question that always comes up to me is all about some of those beloved programs. So we are working with the health department and special events to see when we can safely start scheduling things like movies in the parks, summer concerts in the parks and things like that. We realize that those are some of the things that have been sacrificed because we've had to stay in place and be very guarded about how we gather together. But I just wanted to include that as part of our update. So our whole team's here available to answer any questions you might have. And also we'll, embrace ideas that you have for how we can improve, parks in and around Council District 9. But this has been a great opportunity to get to know everyone a little better. Thank you.
So do we have any questions?
Yes, this is Joni. Is there any way we can increase the frequency of the cleanings of the pond to at least quarterly? I mean, I go down there pretty often with my family, and I mean, there's so much trash in the water at this point. I mean, to be honest, like we have nesting geese that have trash in the nests because there's so much trash in the water. So I don't think, I mean, twice a year just at this point seems like it's insufficient. Additionally, is there a way to put in some type of trash capture? I know that wasn't part of the planning of the wetlands originally, but we get a lot there ends up being a lot of trash in that water that affects the wildlife and just makes it look unpleasant. So.
This is Dan at the Corps. I mean, I'd be amenable to see if I could maybe bring a resource in or not and work with Hurley, and maybe Hurley, you and I could just sit down and maybe we can try to figure something out. I don't want to make any promises because I'm gonna look for funding or a grant to do that. I do believe once the center's up and running and we're there, maybe by our presence, and also, as I mentioned earlier, using that wetlands as a training opportunity for our folks. We just signed an agreement with the Seal Beach National Wildlife Refuge, which is just down the coast here, embedded in a naval weapons station. So we're going to be working with the National Wildlife Refuge. They're doing some wetlands restoration work, and maybe Hurley, we can try to figure out how maybe the Corps could use the forest as a training ground for that. I don't know, just an idea. I'm really amenable, but I'll obviously defer to Hurley. This is his expertise, but we work really well together. So I think that it could be an opportunity there.
And that sounds great. And thanks for the offer, Dan. We'll have a couple meetings and see what we can do. As far as installing a trash diversion on the system now, as I stated in the original design, it wasn't designed to have a trash diversion on there. So there would be nowhere to actually divert it and capture it other than having it come into the stream. But like I said, Dan and I will sit down and see if there's anything that he and with Conservation Corps, and maybe if we can identify some additional resources, there's something that we can do.
Yeah, just at least maybe, Bernie, we can try to do, safe litter abatement in there or something, but just as a training opportunity. But yeah, well, let's talk.
Well, is it possible, like, for the city to have some kind of grates on the where the water goes in from the curb to where it catches trash, so that the street sweeper might be picking it up before it gets to that level?
We can certainly, talk to our friends over at Public Works and see if that could be a possible solution, but that's not a bad suggestion.
Because that way it's just cleaned up once a week, and it
Sure.
Because I read about the Colorado Lagoon and they had a similar issue, and somehow they fixed it, but I thought that it was something like that, but that might be an option. Then it wouldn't even be going down the drain.
Yep, I've made a note of that. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Is Robert Cota still on? I didn't scroll through all the participants, but it was really nice to hear him kind of describe all the things that he's involved in. It'd be great to capture his energy and see how he can help us transform, parts of the park.
He is offline.
Is he? Okay.
This is
So do
Joni.
we
I
have
also
any
had
other
a follow-up. I have one follow-up question. Sometimes we notice, I think this is the electrical system, perhaps for the the irrigation, sometimes we'll notice, I don't know if Azteca is going in there and maintain this PRM or Azteca going in and making adaptations or changes to it, but sometimes there's the electrical system for the irrigation system, there's exposed wires, so like the covers are off of them and there'll be wires sticking out, and I don't know if they're live wires or not, but if that could be addressed as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll certainly do that. You know, the thing I've realized is that the more neighborhood residents like yourselves that care about their park, you really present extra sets of eyes that, because we can't be in all 171 of our parks every day, every minute. But when you see things like that, and I've always encouraged residents, you know, don't give up. If you see something, say something. This isn't always about, you know, dangerous situations, but in this case, it would be. So feel free to, you know, reach out to through my email, or certainly, you know, the Council District Number 9 office, because again, we have usually, you know, daily communications back and forth about matters such as this. But yeah, if you ever see things of a concern, certainly, you know, reach out to us so we can be on top of those.
Quick
Okay,
question.
thank you.
I've called, well, I haven't called, but I've reported that before a couple of times on the Go Long Beach app. Do those types of park maintenance issues, do they get routed to you through Go Long Beach?
Yeah,
Yes,
we've
it-
noticed that depending on how things are described, sometimes the folks that receive those, they interpret them and they may end up at Public Works first, but we usually sort them out in a pretty timely manner.
And also, if I can, I think monthly we also go in and we do irrigation audits. And we also have new systems that we just installed throughout the park system. And it's a computerized system. So at other times you may have our staff or our contract staff will be out programming, making sure that they're programming each station so that we can control it remotely by computer. But we will definitely have our maintenance staff check into what you're seeing and correct any of the deficiencies.
Yeah, I should say that it's not uncommon, you know, in parts of our parks where there's been either mischievous youth or just people that are trying to get access to electrical power to charge something, that they fiddle around with some of our, you know, infrastructure and leave things like that exposed. But yeah, if it's a matter of responsibility from, you know, Azteca or even our team, you know, we'll try to be more mindful of keeping those facilities more secure and safe.
I was also wondering about the sprinkler system in there. I noticed that like once they set it up, after a while, a lot of people came in and broke the sprinklers, stole the sprinklers, and a lot of them aren't attached. Are they eventually going to take that out because it's not working? I thought it was initially just to get everything started and then they were going to remove it. Is it going to stay there, or because right now it seems like a lot of it's not connected?
You're talking about the wetlands, correct? The broken, yeah,
the white pipes that go through there.
there's some that actually cross the paths that are trip hazards too that need to be removed on the paths.
Okay, and that was one of the tasks. That irrigation system in the wetlands was designed to be a temporary system. It was designed to just have a grow-in period, and then it was to be abandoned in place, and all of the rebar was, that's one of the tasks that we worked on with the Conservation Corps, and they completed the rebar removal, but the actual irrigation system was designed to stay in place and naturally be grown over by the native plants. But if there are any type of trip hazards, like I said, we're in the park on a regular basis inspecting for any of those systems that have come loose and maybe coming across the trail. But like I said, now that it has been noted and it's brought to our attention, I will definitely have that as something for our maintenance folks to get a look at and get that corrected as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, and thanks, Early. That's a good follow-up for tomorrow. So Dan, it got kind of quiet. Usually I'm not shy about inviting myself, but I was at the Wilmore Neighborhood Association and Jackson Park. And what was the other one? I've had quite a few lined up, but a similar opportunity just to introduce myself and our team and kind of update them on, what's been happening with Parks, Recreation, Marine, and Animal Care Service, and probably more importantly, where we're headed here into the summer. But feel free to invite us back. If not, well, you don't have to do it monthly, but maybe seasonally or quarterly. It's just really great for me to stay close to all the people that care about their parks. And I like to maintain, clear lines of communication and a really strong two-way connection. So, but this has really been great. And I appreciate everything that the DeForest Park Neighborhood Association stands for and gives back to their community.
Okay, excellent. Is it over? Oh, I had a question. We had did like a master plan, and they was doing a master. Parks and Recs was doing a master plan, for the LA River, and at one of the meetings I talked to them about working with the county and other organizations to sort of so when they redo the plan for the Fall River, that everybody work together in concert so it doesn't overlap, and see what the plan is for DeForest Park. I was wondering, is there any updates on that? Or I don't know if you would have it on you right now, but is there anyone that Lower River Revitalization, I think it was. Are they still working with the county on that? And is there anything that we can get an update about that later on?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I know Meredith was real involved with Kevin Jackson in the city manager's office when they pulled together the LA River Corridor feasibility. It was kind of looking at open space opportunities along that whole corridor, which really pulled together a lot of previous studies. And I thought it was more of a comprehensive master plan of opportunities. But Meredith, is there anything that you would want to add to that?
Sure. I think part of the plans that were being referred to ultimately ended up in the LA River Master Plan. And so as the Neighborhood Association goes on to your next agenda item, I'll drop a link to the LA River Master Plan in the chat. So you can see their website, and we just provided our city's comments on that larger document from a multitude of different perspectives, from parks, bike and ped, access, mobility, stormwater, and a variety of other perspectives. So that process with the LA River Master Plan is ongoing, but they do have a final draft for folks to review.
I was going to say, this is Dan at the Corps. I was on both the Lower LA River Working Group under Speaker Rendon, and I'm also a LA River Commissioner on the steering committee for the master plan. So Meredith is exactly right. It's under environmental review right now, so you can go on LA County Public Works website, and there's all the master plans broken down. It's a huge document. But I think, to your point, the idea is to have more continuity between along the whole 51 miles of the river, from the San Gabriel Mountains all the way to the port. So that's the goal. I'm also working with the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy on a pilot of the River Ranger program, which it's more of a stewardship initiative, and it's more around wayfinding, safe recreating. And again, the idea is to have continuity and some sense of a common thread throughout the entire 51 miles of the river. So it's there, and I could send, if you need to, I can send a link to that as well. There you go. Meredith has sent a link. Thanks, Meredith.
Please do. There it is. Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, this is Lori. We've been working with LA County, and we're working on developing and possibly working on some of the parcels that were identified in the LA River Master Plan. So the first one that we're working on is this Butterfly Preserve, and we're going to try to create a more robust interaction with the county and the city and other agencies, including the Conservation Corps. And I'm wondering who it is at the Conservation Corps we should probably contact to be able to, you know, work on some of these projects together.
You know, I think I put my email out there, but you can contact me and I'll make sure that you have the right folks. You know, as Director Dennis was talking about, so I was talking to Robert earlier. It kind of runs in my family. My sister-in-law is the director of the Santa Barbara Botanical Gardens, and my brother's a senior ecologist for the Nature Conservancy, and my older daughter also works for the TNC. So I love this stuff. And I love to get our young folks involved. So I will send it out my email once more, but just give me an email note and I'll make sure we make it happen. I love this stuff.
Well, I'm glad you love this stuff. Thank you.
I do. And you know, it's so, our young folks that come to our doors, they love to make a difference and they come to us, many of them, to make a difference and serve their community. And helping them with the environment, whether it's climate resiliency or community beautification or greening. We're going to jump at every opportunity to take advantage of that and get our folks involved. So I'll send you my email address.
Okay, and with that, that was our last question. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank
and
you,
now
Dan.
we
Thanks
have,
for the invite.
Oh, no problem at all. Right now, we have public comment for 3 minutes. Any item that was not on our agenda or anything as far as announcements or anything like that. Meredith, you have something? Or you're just waving? I got it. Okay, so anyway, for all of you, if you have any questions or anything like that, make sure you go to the chat, pick up the addresses. You still have District 9 here. You can ask them any question. Matt, I see his name still there. I'm sure John is still floating around. We will still be here. Are there any questions for the good of the group regarding anything that was not on the agenda for 3 minutes? Okay. Well, that was good. Seeing that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.